My fiance's father glared at me across the dinner table and sneered. I'd rather see my daughter die alone than marry a broke nobody like you. I turned to her, hoping she'd defend me. She didn't say a word. I just set my engagement ring on the table and walked out this morning. My phone blew up with 17 missed calls. I should have known something was off the moment we pulled up to their estate that night. The lights were blazing, the staff on high alert, like they were preparing for an ambush rather than a simple family dinner. My fiancée, Becca, looked nervous. She kept fidgeting with her ring, the one I'd spent months saving up for. I'd asked her if everything was okay. She just forced a smile and said she was fine. Dinner started out formal, painfully so. Her mother made small talk about wedding venues and color palettes, while her father, Victor, said nothing. Just eyed me like a piece of stale bread he couldn't wait to toss in the trash. I've never been the flashy corporate ladder climbing type, which is everything Victor loves. I'm a teacher, proud of it, but in his mind, that equates to a nobody with a pathetic salary. Halfway through the main course, he dropped the bomb. He said, dabbing his mouth with a linen napkin, I hear you won't be joining the family business, no matter how many times I've offered. Too good for it, are we? Becca's gaze fell to her plate. I took a breath. With all due respect, sir, I'm not turning down your offer out of pride. It's just not what I want in life. He snorted. What you want doesn't pay the bills. My daughter deserves more than your childish dreams. Silence. Becca's mother looked away. I waited for Becca to say anything in my defense. Instead, she stared at her untouched food like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. The seconds stretched into an eternity. Then, Victor delivered his final blow. I'd rather see my daughter die alone than marry a broke nobody like you. I felt something in my chest tighten. I reached for Becca's hand under the table, but she didn't move. That's when I realized I was on my own. Okay, I said quietly, pulling the ring from my pocket. I'd taken it off to wash my hands before dinner and never got the chance to put it back on. If that's how you feel, all of you. I placed the ring gently on the table. Becca gasped, maybe in shock, maybe in regret, but it was too late. I stood up, collected my jacket, and walked out. No one stopped me. I ended up at a modest motel on the edge of town. Couldn't bear to go home to our shared apartment. Not yet. That night, I turned off my phone, but in the morning it came to life with 17 missed calls. Most from Becca, a couple from unknown numbers, and one from Victor. I didn't listen to any of the voicemails. I just sat there, staring at the ring imprint still visible on my palm. Sometimes clarity comes in quiet moments after the storm. Update 1 first. Thank you for the messages and advice on my last post. I didn't expect that kind of response. Yes, I finally checked the voicemails. Becca left 4. The first was full of anger, accusing me of humiliating her father by walking out. The second was desperation. Please, just call me back. The third was tears, the kind that break your heart even when you're furious. The last was just a long silence before she whispered, I love you. Please don't give up on us. Then came Victor's voicemail. He was calm, almost amused. I'm sorry you misunderstood me, he said, but I can't allow my daughter to marry a man with no vision. You're not the first fiancé she's had to walk away from, by the way. The implied threat was clear. He's done this before, and he'd do it again. I decided to head home. The place was a mess. Becca hadn't been there for days, apparently staying with her parents. But some of her clothes were gone. A suitcase was missing from the closet. My heart sank. It looked like a partial move-out. Then I found the note on the coffee table. I know you're hurt. I'm hurt too. Please come to the gallery tonight. I have something to show you. Proof we can still be together. Dad's not what you think. That last line made me laugh bitterly. Victor was exactly what I thought, controlling, dismissive, manipulative. But curiosity won. I went to the gallery, a high-end space hosting an event for Victor's company. Becca texted me a pass. As I stepped inside, I felt out of place in my simple jacket, while everyone else wore suits that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I spotted Becca by a set of abstract paintings, looking anxious but determined. She rushed over, pulling me into a side room away from the crowd. Thank God you came, she whispered, pressing a flash drive into my hand. What is this? I asked, noticing how her hands shook. Evidence, she said. Let's just say he's done this sabotage routine before, with my ex Scott, with my cousin's fiancé, and more. But there's more to it. Financial records, hush payments. If you show him you know, maybe he'll back off. She gestured at the laptop in the corner. I plugged the flash drive in. My eyes widened. Off-the-books accounts, receipts for political donations under false names, NDAs with suspicious terms. The deeper I went, the darker it got. This wasn't just a controlling father protecting his daughter. This was a man running an empire built on intimidation and fraud. A voice behind us made my blood run cold. "I was wondering where you ran off to, sweetheart." Victor, standing in the doorway, that smug grin on his face. Becca slammed the laptop shut, but it was too late. He'd seen enough to know what we were up to. "Give me that flash drive," he said, stepping forward. I glanced at Becca. She gripped my arm, eyes pleading for me to do something. But what could I do? The man had guards, lawyers, money, everything. "Now," Victor repeated. I slid it into my pocket. "No." His expression flickered with anger. "You're making a mistake, son. I'm not your son." Before he could retaliate, Becca took my hand. We sidestepped him, hurrying out onto the street. My heart thundered as the cold air hit us. She was crying. "I can't go back there," she sobbed. "I can't pretend any of that is normal. He's threatened everyone I've ever gotten close to." I held her, uncertain. She looked at me. "What do we do now?" "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm not letting him win." Update 2. These past few days have been insane. Becca moved back into our apartment, defying every demand and threat from Victor. He's been blowing up both our phones with voicemails, texts, even sending a few of his minions to knock on our door. So far, we've held firm. I spent a night combing through the files on that flash drive. Turns out Victor's done more than sabotage relationships. He's manipulated business partners, bribed officials, and orchestrated smear campaigns against anyone who stood in his way. The more I read, the angrier I got. Ryan, a friend of mine who's a paralegal, introduced me to a lawyer. We showed her the documents. Her eyes nearly popped out of her head. "This is enough to open an investigation," she said. "But you need to be careful. People like him don't go down without a fight." A fight, indeed. Yesterday, Becca and I came home to find an eviction notice on our door. Victor doesn't own the property. He can't actually evict us. Yet somehow there it was, a threat to pay up or get out. Our landlord texted me soon after, apologizing. "I got a call from your fiancé's father," he said. "He's offering me triple the rent if I break our lease and get you out." The intimidation escalated. We started seeing suspicious cars parked near our place. Random calls in the middle of the night. It all felt like a bad movie. Becca was spiraling, blaming herself for bringing me into this mess. I told her we'd stick together, no matter what. Then earlier today, a bombshell. Victor was publicly arrested at his own corporate headquarters. The FBI, accompanied by local authorities, marched him out in handcuffs. Turns out someone leaked the documents, someone who had the exact same flash drive contents. But it wasn't me or Becca. We were still prepping with our lawyer, waiting for the right moment. So who? An hour later, we got a call from an unknown number. A woman introduced herself as Valerie, a longtime victim of Victor's schemes, apparently an ex-employee turned whistleblower. She'd found our contact info in the files, recognized we had evidence, and decided to strike first. "That man ruined my life once," Valerie said. "He wasn't going to do it again." And just like that, the unstoppable Victor had been stopped by someone he never saw coming. Final update. The fallout was swift. Within 48 hours, the media blasted Victor's arrest, detailing an ongoing investigation into fraud, extortion, bribery, the works. His board voted to remove him as CEO. Investors fled. Every carefully built wall around his empire came crashing down. As for me and Becca, we're still untangling the wreckage. She's testifying soon, providing evidence of how he tried to coerce her. There are years of text messages, audio recordings, shady bank transfers. The FBI labeled us key witnesses. A part of me wonders if we can ever truly be free of him. Then I look at Becca, how determined she's become. She's working with Valerie to connect other victims, forming a support group for those financially destroyed or threatened by Victor. That kind of strength is new, and it's beautiful. 2 days ago, we sat in the living room floor, ring box between us. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Finally, Becca looked up, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry I didn't defend you," she said. "You deserve better from me." I pressed my forehead to hers. "We can't change what happened, but if we're going to move forward, it has to be together. No more secrets, no more fear." She placed the ring in my hand. "Ask me again properly." So I did. Right there on the hardwood floor, surrounded by boxes of legal documents and half-eaten pizza. Her yes was quieter than last time, but so much more real. Victor's legal battles are just beginning. Rumor is he's trying to negotiate a deal, but with everything piling up, the chances of him escaping prison are slim. For once, all his money and power might not save him. And us? We're planning a small wedding, not in some fancy estate or grand ballroom, but in a local park where we first kissed. We'll invite the people who truly support us. No illusions, no more pretending. Sometimes the best revenge is just living the life someone tried to deny you, free from their control, their bitterness, their intimidation. Because at the end of the day, real family, real love, doesn't require permission from anyone. It's built on mutual respect and trust. So here we are, moving forward. It's not perfect, it's messy, uncertain, and maybe a little scary, but it's real. And that, more than anything, feels like the victory we've been waiting for.